The day my father's company collapsed, it didn't feel real. It felt like a building slowly sinking instead of crashing, silent, numbing, cruelly gentle. Rivera Textiles had been my grandfather's legacy, my father's pride, and my childhood home disguised as a business. I practically grew up between the clatter of sewing machines and the smell of fresh cotton rolls. And then the Aratons took it all. Not with guns, not with threats, but with smiling business deals that were really traps. The newspaper said it was just business. The world said it was competition. I knew it was betrayal. But worst of all, I knew exactly who engineered it. Aiden Araton, the only son and heir of the Araton industrial empire, a man whose eyes were as calm as storms and as cold as winter steel. I had met him exactly once at a charity event years ago. He seemed polite, distant, annoyingly perfect. If I had known his family would be the one to destroy everything my father built with 60 years of hard work, I would have thrown my drink at him. Maybe two. Dad had a heart attack the night Rivera Textiles went bankrupt. He lived, but he wasn't the same. His laughter dimmed, his shoulders bent, his smile lost its light. And I, Liana Rivera, watched the man I loved crumble at the hands of another man's success. We sold our home within a week, moved into a small 2-bedroom on the outskirts in the city, and for months I walked around with a permanent ache inside my ribs. So the night Aiden Araton appeared at our door, I thought I was dreaming, or hallucinating, or both. He stood there with his perfect posture, expensive suit, and frozen seriousness. My father almost fell when he saw him. "What do you want?" I demanded before he even stepped in. His gaze flicked to me, slow, deliberate, unreadable. "To speak," he said simply. "To say what?" I snapped. "Congratulations, you destroyed our life. Should we clap?" He didn't flinch. Instead, he looked directly at my father. "Mr. Rivera, I have a proposal." "Oh, hell no." I stood between them. "No, leave, now." But then he said the sentence that shattered the last piece of my reality. "I want to marry your daughter." My father choked on air. I froze. Even the walls seemed to stop breathing. "What?" I whispered. Aiden's voice remained maddeningly calm. "I want to restore what was lost, but for that, I need to unite our families." "By marrying me?" My voice cracked. "Are you insane?" "No, I'm desperate." That shocked me more than the proposal. Desperate? Aiden Araton, the golden heir of the empire that devoured my father's business? Dad placed a trembling hand on the chair to steady himself. "Why my daughter?" He hesitated just for a second, but it was enough for me to notice. "Because she is strong, and because this marriage will end a feud. It will stop the rumors, the speculation, the board pressure. A union will stabilize the markets of view of both families." "So I'm a public relations band-aid?" I spat. He didn't deny it, which made me want to punch him. Dad's voice softened before he answered. "And what do we get, Aiden?" "Everything you lost. Your home, your business, your reputation. I will restore Rivera Textiles under your name, and you," he looked at me, "will be the Araton family's daughter-in-law." "As in prisoner?" I folded my arms. "Let me guess, a gilded cage, but still a cage. You would have full freedom, except the freedom to say no?" Silence. I glared. Exactly. My father looked at me, eyes filled with that heartbreaking mixture of guilt and exhaustion. He was weaker than before the heart attack. Some days he barely stood. The stress was killing him. He whispered, "Liana, this could save us. No, I won't marry." But then he closed his eyes and winced. The pain on his face stabbed me like a knife. Aiden stepped forward instantly. "Are you all right?" "Stay away from him," I snapped, shoving Aiden back. "You caused this." Aiden didn't react to the shove. He simply stepped aside, giving me space to help my father. And that's when I realized something horrifying. My father might actually die if I refused. Not from Aiden's threats, but from hopelessness. I looked at Aiden again, at the man who ruined my life, at the man who now held the power to save it. "I hate you," I said softly. He nodded once. "I know." "Fine," I whispered. "I'll do it." His jaw clenched. My father cried, and my fate was sealed.
Chapter 3: The Wedding of Enemies. They called it a private ceremony. I called it a funeral. My own. The Ayrton mansion was a skyscraper disguised as a home. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, walls that smelled like money and coldness. Everything felt too polished, too perfect, too emotionless. Just like Aiden. The priest read the vows. My hands trembled so violently, I had to curl them into fists. Aiden stood beside me, not touching, not looking, just radiating that quiet dominance that irritated me to my bones. "Do you take Aiden Ayrton as your lawful husband?" "I do," I forced out. "Barely." "And do you take Liana Rivera as your lawful wife?" Aiden looked at me then. Really looked. His eyes weren't cold today. They were something else. Something deeper. Something conflicted. "I do," he said quietly. Our rings slid onto our fingers. His hand brushed mine. Accidental, brief, but electric. I yanked my hand away. When we kissed, it was only a ghost of a kiss. Barely lips, no warmth, no emotion. A paper kiss for a paper marriage. Everyone clapped. Inside, I burned. Chapter 4: Enemies at Home. Living with Aiden was like living with a thunderstorm. Quiet, dark, tense, waiting to explode. We barely spoke. He worked late into the night. I stayed in the farthest guest room. We avoided each other like magnets of opposite charges. But even when he was silent, he felt everywhere. His scent in the hallways, his deep voice on business calls, his presence lingering like a shadow. On the fourth night, I found him in the kitchen making tea. At 2 a.m., he froze when he saw me. "I didn't know you were awake," he said. "It's my house too," I shot back. He nodded and poured another cup and slid it toward me. I didn't take it. "I'm not drinking anything from the man who ruined my life." He exhaled slowly. I expected that. Good. I turned to leave, but his next words stopped me mid-step. "I'm sorry, Liana." I actually laughed. "No, you're not." "I didn't ruin your father's business." I spun around. "Your last name is literally on the lawsuit." "My father handled that deal. I only saw the final documents." "Convenient." He swallowed. I tried to stop it. That made me pause. He looked exhausted, more than I had ever seen. His shoulders weighted with something heavy. "I didn't want Rivera Textiles to be destroyed," he said quietly. "I tried to negotiate, to preserve parts of it, but I wasn't the final decision maker." "So you're a powerless heir?" I mocked. His jaw tightened. "I'm telling you the truth. Why should I believe anything you say?" He held my gaze. "Because I still married you." That hit me in the stomach. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he said the words that changed everything. "I'm trying to rebuild what you lost. You don't have to forgive me, but let me fix what my family broke." I hated the way my heart stuttered. I hated that he sounded sincere. I hated that I almost believed him. Chapter 5. Unwanted Protector. 2 weeks into the marriage, something strange started happening. Aiden watched me. Not in a creepy way, not in a controlling way, but in a protective way. If we went to a charity gala, he stayed close. If a photographer tried to get too intrusive, Aiden stepped in front of me. If reporters asked cruel questions, he shut them down with lethal calmness. Outside the house, he acted like I was his diamond, precious, untouchable. Inside the house, we barely spoke. At first, his protectiveness annoyed me. Then it confused me. Then it warmed me. But the incident that changed everything happened at his company's annual ball. I wore a red silk gown. He wore a black suit that fit him like sin. People whispered when we walked in. Our marriage was the headline of every business magazine. Halfway through the event, I overheard 2 board members. "Poor girl," one said, "married to him because of her father's collapse?" "It's not just that," the other whispered. "Her father's bankruptcy wasn't an accident. Someone at the board orchestrated it." My blood froze. Someone within Ayrton Industries? Before I could ask, a tall man approached me. He introduced himself as Nathan Hale, an investor. He smiled too much, talked too close, and placed a hand on my back without permission. "Seems you caught the heir's eye," he smirked. "But tell me, do you still hate him? Word is your father despises the Ayrtons." I stepped back. "Please remove your hand." He leaned in. "Relax, sweetheart." He didn't finish, because suddenly Aiden was there. His hand gripped Nathan's wrist with controlled fury. "I believe my wife asked you to remove your hand." His voice was deep, dangerous, cold. Nathan laughed nervously. It was harmless. Aiden leaned closer. "Touch her again, and I will remove your hand myself." Nathan paled. Aiden pulled me behind him, shielding me with his body like a wall. My heart thudded. "Aiden," I whispered, shocked. He turned to me, voice softening instantly. "Are you okay? Did he hurt you?" That was the first time he ever looked at me like a husband, not a stranger. And, against my will, something inside me melted.
Chapter 6. The Truth Comes Out. A week later, I found documents on his desk, files about Rivera Textiles, blueprints for reopening factories, contracts drafted in my father's name, financial plans worth millions, funded entirely by Aiden's personal accounts. My breath caught. He wasn't lying. He really was restoring everything we lost. Aiden walked into the study and froze when he saw me holding the papers. His voice dropped. "Liana, it's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. You've been rebuilding my father's company behind my back. I didn't want you to feel indebted or obligated to stay married," I asked sharply. He didn't answer. His silence was an answer. I slammed the papers down. "Why, Aiden? Why would you do all this? It doesn't fix what your family did." He stepped closer. "Because I can't undo the past, but I can make your future better." "Why?" He exhaled shakily. "Because I care." My pulse quickened. "You don't even know me." "I know enough." I took a step back. He took a step forward. "You hate me," he said quietly, "and you have every right, but that doesn't change what I feel." "What do you feel?" My voice trembled.
His eyes softened, dark and intense. "Everything I shouldn't," he whispered. My heart slammed against my ribs. "Aiden," I breathed. He reached out slowly, as if afraid I'd break. His fingertips brushed my cheek, gentle, cautious, reverent. He told myself I married you for the company, for the merger, for the board. "And now," I whispered. "Now," he said, his forehead touching mine, "I just want you." Chapter 7. Falling for the Enemy. It didn't happen overnight. It happened in the small moments. When he made breakfast because I always forgot to eat. When he put a blanket around me when I fell asleep on the couch. When he learned how I liked my tea. When he argued with his father to protect my father's company. When he kissed my forehead before leaving for work. Soft, hesitant, as if asking permission. It happened the day he came home with bruised knuckles. "What happened?" I demanded. He shrugged. "Boardroom disagreement." "Aiden!" He admitted. "It was Nathan. He insinuated that you married me for money." I gasped. "And you punched him?" "No," Aiden corrected. "I punched him after he called you the pretty charity case." My heart broke open. "Aiden," I whispered, "why do you keep defending me?" He looked away. "Because you're my wife." "That's not a real answer." He inhaled sharply. "Because you were alone when you shouldn't have been. Because you deserved better than watching your father's life crumble. Because I saw the fight in you, even when everything was taken away. Because—" His voice shook. "Because somewhere along the way, I started falling in love with you." The world stopped. I stared at him. At the man I promised to hate forever. At the man who was now looking at me like I hung the stars. "Aiden," I whispered. He stepped closer. "It's okay. You don't have to say anything. I know you don't feel the same." But he was wrong. I lifted my hand and placed it against his cheek. His breath caught. "I don't hate you anymore, and maybe I'm falling too." He closed his eyes in relief, and for the first time, I kissed him. Not a paper kiss, not a forced kiss, a real one. His hands slid around my waist, mine tangled in his hair. The kiss grew deeper, fuller, desperate, and tender all at once. That night, I didn't sleep in the guest room. That night, I slept in his arms, and it felt like coming home. Chapter 8. The One Who Really Ruined Us. Just when life started feeling like a fairy tale, the truth came crashing in. Aiden wasn't the villain of my story. His father was. Mr. Ayrton confronted me privately one afternoon. "You may have fooled my son," he sneered, "but don't think you fool me." I stiffened. "What do you want?" "To warn you, stay silent, stay obedient, stay out of company matters. Or," his smile chilled me, "or the truth comes out." "What truth?" I whispered. "The truth," he said, stepping closer, "that your father wasn't simply a victim. He made risky deals behind your back. He borrowed money he couldn't repay. Liar," I snapped. "Believe what you want," he shrugged, "but your father brought the company down. We merely let it fall." I could barely breathe. He leaned in. "Tell Aiden none of this, or your father's reputation will be destroyed forever." Then he walked away. Chapter 9. Breaking Point. I tried avoiding Aiden. I tried burying the truth, but Aiden eventually cornered me in the study. "Liana, what's wrong? You've been distant." I shook my head. "Nothing, I just—" "Don't lie to me," his voice cracked. "Not you." Tears flooded my eyes. "I can't do this. We're too different. Our families are at war. This was all a mistake." Aiden looked like I had stabbed him. "A mistake?" he repeated. My chest tightened painfully. "Yes." He swallowed. So the night you kissed me, that was a mistake too? I closed my eyes. Please don't make this harder. Aiden stepped back, as if physically hurt. Liana, I love you. His voice was rough, breaking. And I know you feel something too. Don't push me away. Tears spilled down my cheeks. I can't stay. Not when your father... I stopped myself. Aiden froze. What did your father do? I shook my head. Nothing. Forget it. He grabbed my shoulders. Liana, tell me. He said my father was partly responsible for the collapse. He said he would expose it if I didn't stay quiet. Aiden's entire expression shifted. The calm air vanished. The man in love appeared, and he was furious. He threatened you, Aiden growled. Yes, I nodded. He tightened his jaw. Pack your things. What? We're leaving. Where? Anywhere that is not under his roof. My heart raced. Aiden, you can't just... I can, he said, grabbing my hand, and I will. I choose you. My breath left my body. He chose me. Over his father. Over his legacy. Over everything. Chapter 10. A Love Rebuilt. Aiden took me to a small lake house, 2 hours outside the city. It was peaceful, quiet, surrounded by pine trees and sunlight on water. No mansion, no business, no board, just us. For the first time since the forced marriage, I felt free. One morning, I found him sitting on the dock, staring at the sunrise. I wrapped my arms around him from behind. You didn't sleep? He covered my hands with his. Couldn't. Too busy thinking. About what? He looked at me over his shoulder. About how scared I was of losing you. My throat tightened. Aiden. He turned fully, taking my hands. I never wanted a marriage like this. I never wanted you to feel trapped. I wanted to protect you, even when you hated me. I don't hate you, I whispered. He smiled softly. I know. He took a breath. We can annul the marriage now, if you want. You're free. I won't stop you. I won't ask anything from you. My heart clenched painfully. Aiden, just say the word, he whispered, and I'll let you go. I cupped his face. I'm not going anywhere. His eyes widened. I choose you, I said, voice shaking with emotion. Not because I'm forced, not because of our families, but because somewhere along the way, you stopped being the man who ruined my life. He closed his eyes, waiting, and became the man who rebuilt it. Aiden didn't kiss me gently this time. He kissed me like a man who had waited months, years for this moment. Deep, hungry, loving, devastating. I melted into him, into his arms, into the future we were building together. Not forced, not broken, but chosen. Rivera Textiles reopened 6 months later. My father stood at the ribbon-cutting ceremony, stronger, healthier, proud. His new partner was Aiden, not as his son-in-law, but as his equal. Aiden and I moved back into the city, not into the Ayrton mansion, but into a home we chose. His father tried to fight the changes. Aiden shut him down. The board followed Aiden, and the empire changed for the better. One night, curled in bed, Aiden pulled me closer. Do you ever regret marrying me? He asked softly. I smiled against his chest. Only the part where I hated you for months. He laughed, something he usually never did.
"And now?" he asked. I kissed his jaw. Now I'm married to the man who rebuilt my life piece by piece. Now I'm in love with my protector, my partner, my husband. He pulled me on top of him, eyes full of warmth. "I love you, Liana. I love you, Aiden." We kissed under the dim bedroom light, and for the first time, I realized something beautiful. I wasn't forced into this life anymore. I chose it. I chose him, and he chose me long before I ever knew.